Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and if you've seen my other reviews of Wizard and Relics, you know I really love this game. So they came along with a standalone expansion for Wizard and Relics. This is going to be the Awakening expansion. This is going to be published by Eternal Realms, and it is a 2 to 4 player game. Plays fairly similar to Wizard and Relics, with a cool new twist and new cards in this standalone expansion. Now, I will mention that this is a prototype of the game for their new Kickstarter, so things are subject to change and all that. So let's go ahead down to the table and I'll give you a general idea how this game plays, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is the new game, Wizard and Relics Awakening. This is an expansion. This is a prototype. So in this prototype game, there's enough cards to actually be a standalone game. So I believe that's how it's going to be when they're done, but just be aware that this is a prototype and everything here is subject to change. But basically what you're going to do to start out the game, which is the same as the base game, you're going to shuffle up these shrines. You're going to give each player a player card, which is going to show them the elemental bonuses, and then you're also going to get your keywords glossary card on the back. So it's basically like a little tiny cheat sheet for you in the game. What you're going to do to set up the game is you're going to separate all the wizards and relics out by these icons. So these are going to, the circle here is going to be a common icon. This icon just means that what set it's from. This one is going to be your triangle, basically your uncommon ones, and these ones are your glorious or super rare ones. Is going to be the stars. And you'll have the same for these relics. So once you separate these out, you're actually going to custom make a deck. It's going to be random, but it's going to keep all the decks balanced. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take 6 of the common cards. So you're going to take 6. Oops, 1. So set those into 6 piles there. Or, sorry, 4 piles of 6. So that'll make you 4 decks. And you don't have to play that many players, but I messed one up here. Trying to mess up. Oh, you're the one I messed up. All right. And then you'll take 6 from the relics and put them on top of each of those. And then once we make these 4 different decks, you can shuffle them up. If you're playing 2-player, which is actually how I prefer this game, I would still make the 4 decks, because what you can do is you can, a lot of these cards you'll actually be swapping cards or stealing cards or doing different things, mainly stealing cards. So your decks will be unbalanced after you go through a play. But if you make these extra decks here, you can just swap to the other deck and get 2 cool games in of Wizards and Relics. So that is deck setup, which that has not changed. That is the same from the base game. Now these super rare cards, you're only going to get 3 and each. So for the relics and the wizards. And one thing I want to point out, just because it might not pop up, is this is one of the new wizards in the expansion. This one here is a wizard of every color. So it is good and bad because it gets affected by every color. So it has advantage and disadvantage, which is really cool change for this version of the game. So now you have your 4 decks. We're going to set 2 of them aside because we're just going to do a 2-player game. You can go a 4-player game if you want a wizard and his relics. But like I said, it's still really cool doing a 4-player game, but I really just like the head-to-head 2-player game, sort of like tournament style. So you shuffle these decks up, and what you're going to do is you're going to go through the sequence of play for the game. And I'm going to show you some stuff here. So you both have the 2 decks ready to go. Now, to win the game, for a 2-player game, you're going to need to win with 5 wizards. You're going to need to win 5 combats. With a 3-player game, you're going to need to win 4 combats. And with a 4-player game, you need to win 3 combats. Basically, you're trying to put your wizard into Hall of Immortality, and the way that you do that is by winning a combat, which we'll go over in a second. But to start out the game, each player is going to draw 7 cards from the top of the deck. So you're going to get your 7 cards, right? So every player has 7 cards. Once you have your 7 cards there, each player is going to get one of these little reminder cards, and you're going to flip over a shrine. Now your shrines are going to do some effect. So this one says red, so it'll be red mages can't gain advantage, which I'll show you in a minute. And you may discard a pipe, hat, and staff, which pipe, hat, and staff, there's a ton of them in this deck, or in this game. Relic, from your hand. If you do so, you get empowered too. So one of the new effects in this game is going to be empowered too. This is a new thing that isn't present in the base game itself. Empowering is another new ability that plays a bit differently. When empowering, you activate the ability only when the card is discarded. So when the card is discarded, then you actually get to activate the ability. Another thing that can happen in this that's new from the base game is you can get these like sigil cards. These sigil cards do some effect like this. It says devoted wizards have wardrobe. You get +1 for each hat, pipe, and staff that you got in there. Once these are flipped, they actually stay out. So at the beginning of every round, a new shrine will come out, but these sigils will stay out for the rest of the game and affect it. So when you're looking at your hand, if you ever don't have a wizard and a relic in your hand, you can always show and discard your hand and draw up to 7 minus the number of wizards you have in the Hall of Immortality. So you're going to look at the advantage that you have, look at the sigil that's out there if there is one, and you're going to pick a relic and a wizard. So you're going to see what advantages you're going to get and place those both face down so your opponent doesn't see them. Your opponent is going to do the same thing. They're going to pick a wizard and a relic. And what you're going to do is you'll flip the wizard over. You'll do the shrine ability first. So these are both red, so these would apply, and you do that. The next thing you do is see if anyone had advantage. If they would have played a green wizard, I would have had advantage over and got a +1. And see if there's any other effects that add it. Then if the wizard has an ability, you do that. So this says discard or draw until you have 3 cards in hand. After that's all done, then you're going to flip your relics, and you're going to do what the relics say. When this is all done, you're going to add up your advantages and add up these numbers. So you have 5 and 6. So 5 + 1 makes 6, and this one has 4 + 1, and that's 5. And if there was no other advantages, this wizard would win. This wizard would go off to the Hall of Immortality, so he's out of the game, but he counts as a point for that player towards their whatever points they need for the player count. And then the winning player gets to take a relic if they want, and put it in their hand from the defending player. The rest of those cards will get discarded. The winning player will only draw 1 card to add to their hand. The losing player will be able to draw 2. And you're going to keep on doing this until someone has the needed amount of wizards in the Hall of Immortality. There's a couple other really cool abilities in this one. This one also has foresee, and foresee is a new keyword on there. If you see foresee in this deck, basically what is going to end up happening is you're going to be able to look at the top certain number of cards, and it'll say how many cards, and you're basically going to take a look at these cards, and you can pick which ones you want to put on the top and the bottom of your deck. So you're basically, with foresee, going to be stacking your deck so you know what you're going to be drawing, which is really, really cool. This one also, like I said, has the sigils, and it has the ethereal wizards, which are really cool. It also has some subtypes, and like hat, staff, and pipe. So there's a lot of wardrobe abilities and bonuses and stuff in this game. So you're really looking for those to help out with getting those extra advantage points to win the combats. But that's it. That's the basic idea of how to play Wizards and Relics, and that's some of the new stuff that comes with the Wizards and Relics Awakening expansion. But let's go ahead back up to the table here, and I'll give you my final thoughts on Wizards and Relics. So I really like Wizards and Relics, and I really like Wizards and Relics Awakening. Now, Does Wizards and Relics Awakening replace Wizards and Relics for me? No. They both have a unique feel to them. Wizards and Relics, the original game, is a little bit slower paced than Wizards and Relics Awakening. It has less combos too, I think, or I feel that it does. So Wizards and Relics I like playing with people that haven't played Wizards and Relics especially first, just so they get the idea of that, or people that haven't played like games where you're going to be doing a lot of combos and you have to be able to like cycle through your deck and do all these really cool new features and effects that this game has. I would play Wizards and Relics, and I would just play Wizards and Relics, the base game, anytime. This game here I would definitely play with, especially people that are have played Magic the Gathering. Not that this is the same game in any way, but a lot of the effects that you can have in this game are similar to things that they would be used to in Magic the Gathering. Also, their mind is going to be set to basically sort of maximize the opportunities and the things inside their deck. So they would be really good with this game, and I think they would find a lot of enjoyment. I really like being able to blast through my deck in this game and be able to like set it up the way I needed to for future turns to give myself all the possibility of trying to get my wizard to be a champion so I can get so many in the Hall of Immortality and win. So this one here is a little bit more thinkier of a game than the original base game, which I really like. And I can't wait to see like what the final copy is going to be of this game. Like there's going to be some fan art that's going to go into it. I'm pretty sure during throughout the Kickstarter campaign, again, they'll have things where you can do fan related cards in there, which I really thought was cool. There's a lot of really cool like things in this game, and there's a lot of replayability in this game too, because this game also gives you the feeling of like a deck building game without having to do like the huge expense of like a CCG. I really like how you start out and you always make like 4 balanced decks. I really liked how they did that system where you're going to have a different deck every time, but they're balanced. So I really think that part of the game was phenomenal. All the parts are phenomenal, but I really enjoyed the fact that I can make these cool custom decks and play this really cool game without having to spend hours and hours trying to figure out how to make a deck. So, great game. If you're looking for a card combat game, I would highly recommend backing Wizard and Relics Awakening. And if you want to see what it is beforehand, you can actually pick up the original game, Wizards and Relics, too. So, that's my thoughts on it. Thank you for watching.